The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And A.J. Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
Right. Welcome back to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, A.J. Applegarth. What's going on, man?
Not too much. Just trying to catch up with the Sixers game here and see if they can manage to force the Game 7.
Yeah, looking good so far, man. They got over a 10-point lead, I think, right?
74-61 right now.
Yeah, looking solid, man.
That's what it was when I kicked off on my screen. I think I'm a little behind with the streaming here, but
I don't know about you, but I was watching this game and I thought I was kind of watching the Hawks, man. Like, what are the jerseys Toronto has? These things are weird.
Dude, they've had different jerseys like every series or every game of this series.
Are they like the Oregon Ducks of the NBA? What the hell?
Yeah, pretty much, dude. Like, I don't get it. The ones they were wearing, maybe it's these same ones. I'll have to look at it again. But it was like, yeah, I think it is these. They just say like North across.
Yeah, I'm like, is it like a Game of Thrones reference or something? I don't know. It's so
probably.
Weird. Who knows, man? Who knows? But
I had to lose.
Anyway, we have an exciting show tonight. We're gonna do some buy low, sell high talk. Obviously, injuries and bullpen updates and waiver wire, and we might even talk about some catchers. If you know, and not the most exciting topic, but it's something we got to talk about here. Before we get into all of this, it was brought to my attention just before the show by Keith that Sam Adams and Dogfish merged today, and I don't know all the insides, inside and outs of the deal. Something $300 million between stocks and cash was, something or other. I don't have any idea, so do not quote me on any of that. But dude, what are your initial thoughts on this kind of a merger or deal, or Sam Adams buying them or whatever it ends up being? I mean, I don't know. What's your initial thoughts, man? Good, bad, for either one?
I mean, I'm hoping that it's good for both of them, obviously, but I don't know. I mean, it's yet to be seen. Obviously, it's going to be an interesting merger. It kind of reminds me of the Budweiser Goose Island merger a few years back, and based on what I know of that, it sounds like Budweiser just kind of bought the name, but they left everything that Goose had going under them and didn't mess with their system at all. So if Sam Adams plans to do kind of the same thing, then Dogfish should still remain what it is, and should be still successful. But I don't know. I mean, it could bring Dogfish to more markets, maybe that they might not be in already.
Yeah, that's where my initial thoughts went. Is like I guess the only good thing I can see that come out of it is that it has to, Dogfish would be more readily available, like in other places. It would be on tap in more places.
Yeah,
and I mean that's a good thing. I think where my head goes if I want to think negative about it is, is Budweiser going to try to or not Budweiser, you said Budweiser earlier, so that got on my brain. But Sam Adams, could try to tinker with the recipes or whatever and be like, well, no, you've got to use this hops, or you've got, the hops that we grow or whatever. And it totally screws with their recipes and changes the beers. And that's where you're like, no. Sam Adams, stay away. They make perfectly good beers. I don't like all of them, just like I don't like all of your beers. In fact, I don't like most of your beers. Please don't screw with Dogfish. I like more of their stuff than yours. So I don't know. It's interesting though. Hopefully I guess the one thing is just hopefully we'll see a lot more of Dogfish in other places, on tap and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think, just on paper, it looks like it's a pretty good move for both of them. But yeah, if Sam Adams, like you said, starts getting into the recipes, then that's going to be
that's something they absolutely should not do. But it's probably going to be inevitable once like enough ownership changes hands. People are just going to start screwing with things. But hopefully they get smart and don't. But speaking of beer, I figured that was a good topic to start with. But speaking of beer, let's do our beer of the week.
Beer.
So I went first last week. You can go first this time.
All right. Well, taking it back to the hometown, and tipping back some Victory Brewing tonight. It's a beer I actually picked up a while back, and still have a few left over. So it's their No Brainer IPA. It's a 6.8% ABV. It's kind of like a fruity, citrusy, or the hops that are in this one. It's got a pretty strong hoppy flavor to it though. You got some notes of tangerine and mandarin. The hops are Mandarina, Citra, Centennial, and Azaka. So lots of hops in this one. It's a good flavor though. Definitely a solid drinking beer.
Nice. I am drinking a local brew myself. Flying Dog. Saw this one in the store. I'd never seen it before, so I decided to pick it up. A Thunderpeel Hazy IPA, and I don't usually like hazy IPAs, but this one's pretty solid, man. It's got enough kind of a fruity flavor. It's funny. I was just reading the description to try to get a little more information about it before I talked, and the style guide says "so juicy, brah." What? That's funny. But yeah, so it's got Citra, Galaxy, Mosaic hops in it, which are obviously three of very popular, fairly flavorful hops. A lot of beers are made with those. It is obviously unfiltered, which makes it hazy. And again, I don't usually go for those. I wasn't really sure if I was gonna like it. It was on sale, so I figured, why the hell not? Needed a new beer. And but it's good so far. I gave it a 3 3/4 on Untapped.
Nice.
So yeah, I could do this one again for sure.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one myself, and I was kind of surprised to see Hazy written down here because I know you're not usually
I just
big on them.
It was also a little bit of I'm running out of the Safeway by me only has so many beers and they don't get a lot of new ones. And so I'm running out of beers to try, especially IPAs. So I'm going. I found this one, was like, oh, it's new. I'll try this.
Nice.
They have some of the local brews, but it's these 4-pack of pounders for $16, and I'm like, oh god, it's brutal price. But yeah, that's what these little local brews are gonna do. What is it, Brookfield Beer Farms and where I don't think Where DACA does canning yet or anything, but some of the other smaller local brews, they've got to pay heavy. They've got to charge you more to make up for their not producing as much of it and stuff like that. But no, this is all right though. It definitely surprised me that it was this tasty. But all right, man, let's get into some baseball talk. Do some buy low, sell high, And so what we're going to do here is we will bring up a player in the buy low, sell high category, and they're already categories as buy low and sell high players. So we're going to tell you why, and we'll just go there. So I'm going to start right off the bat, man, with big names here. Buy low. I'm going Jose Ramirez. I mean, this guy's, he's not completely killing people because he does have 9 stolen bases, but batting .205, 3 home runs. I mean, you expected a lot. I mean, this guy was going number 3 in some drafts, right up until like the last week when he got the little injury that he was like carted off the field. So little injury, right? But ended up being fine. But the Cleveland offense isn't quite what it was last year. Lindor finally came back, so that's helping, but not enough. I look at a few things with him, which is why I think there's going to be a bounce back, and he's going to return to form. His BABIP is at 222. I mean, last year it was at 252, and it's low. Like, that's just kind of his thing. But 222, that is just ridiculous. His strikeout rate is higher this year than it was last year. His walk rate is down, so those are concerning. But I think things are going to start falling, and I look at a couple of factors. One is he's actually hitting the ball harder this year than he has ever hit the ball. His hard hit contact rate is up at 41%, up from last year's previous high, which was 36. People aren't. I know people are concerned with the second half that was last year and things like that, but I mean, he still put up pretty monster stats last year in the second half, at least counting wise. The batting average dipped, so I still think you can expect 20 home runs, 20 steals the rest of the way, if not a few more than that, and you're gonna get a good season out of this guy overall. You're going to have to give up a fairly decent player, but you're not going to have to pay first-round price premium at this point to get Jose Ramirez back, or at least you shouldn't. If the team who owns him in your league wants that kind of a player back in return, then I say no deal. Like, don't do it. But if you can get him for like a Domingo Santana or something like that, somebody who started off real hot here, I think you can make that swap. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you've got a plethora of outfielders, or if you're really deep in a position and that's your position of need, and they have somebody that's, that can fill in, in one of his positions that they're playing him in, you're good. I mean, I definitely would have no problems trying to go after Ramirez. I'm just trying to think of the leagues that I'm in. I just don't feel like the people that own him would want to give him up. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's going to be some.
It depends on who the one guy that owns him he's horrible to trade with anyway. So
yeah, you got to have a good trading partner.
I just
but
don't see that. Yeah, I don't see that one happening. But that's just my league. So I mean, you got to just look at what the team needs are, and if you have something that can fill one of those needs better than what he's getting out of Ramirez, then I would go for it.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, you tell me. We didn't talk about how we were going to do this segment before the show. You want to bounce between sell high, buy low, or do you just want to do all the buy lows first?
Yeah, let's just bounce through buy low.
All right. So the next one on the list here from us is Yasiel Puig. This guy came into the season with all sorts of crazy hype. I mean, obviously the talent was there, right? The big thing for years with him has been injuries. And he's been healthy, relatively healthy the last 2 years. So, and even last year when he did miss games, he put up a pretty monster season considering he only played 125 games. That being said, he has started off just awful this year. And batting average down at 197. He's only hit 5 home runs this year. Where we've just, obviously we've just seen the ball fly out of the park. Everybody. My God, who is it? Derek Dietrich has like 9 or 10 home runs. Like, excuse me. If this ball is not juiced, like something is up. Like steroids are back or something, right? Like this is just craziness. But anyway, Puig's got 5 home runs. Okay. 4 stolen bases. The stolen bases is probably fine and on pace with what you would have expected at this point. Again, though, you look at why would there be a bounce back with a guy like this, and you think BABIP's down at 217. His career average BABIP is 313. So this is coming up, in my opinion. Even if it only gets to 286, which it was last year, it's coming up. It's rising. Like, no doubt in my mind, this rises. And you look down again at his batted ball profile, almost identical to last year. 38% for hard hit rate. He actually went up in medium contact rate, 37 to 40, and his soft went down, 24 to 21. There's really not a whole lot here for me to go, oh no, except that he is swinging and missing a bit more right now. His swinging strike percentage is 14.6, up from 10 the last 2 seasons. I'm not truly concerned though. I wonder if it's just one of those, like, he's moved teams, he's pressing a little bit right now. The Reds offense is kind of struggling as a whole, so maybe he's trying to make up for it, and give the time to have the weather warm up in Cincy and that ballpark. He also gets to play in Milwaukee a bunch, and I think he's just going to crush the ball soon. So now is the time to go after him and get him while an owner is potentially just fed up with Puig not performing. What do you think?
Yeah, I was kind of on the hype train for him coming into this season as well. I was really excited about the move to Cincinnati. It's a great hitter's ballpark, obviously. They went out and made a ton of different moves to better their team and compete in that division, because it's a tough, crowded division. I was just excited for him, but he really hasn't excited me yet this year. So I think that there is still room for him to improve definitely what he's doing here. Especially just the average alone is horrendous right now at 197. So, 5 homers, I probably would have felt like maybe he would be around 8, maybe 9 at this point.
Especially with how in my opinion, juiced this ball is this year. You would expect him to be reaping the benefits of that. But, really, again, like I said, the Reds offense in general just is not doing much. Good God, look at Votto, right? He is atrocious.
Votto's absolute train wreck this year.
Spoiler, he is not on my buy low list.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you could go buy him low if you really want that for the rest of your season.
You might be able to go get him off the waiver wire soon. I have a feeling he's going to start getting dropped.
He should.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm giving it. I wrote this on Twitter the other night. I had a discussion with somebody who was asking me about Votto, and had a little back and forth with a couple people, and they were like, "Oh man, I totally get rid of Votto," and I was like, "I'm holding on for at least a couple more weeks." There's a guy who we're gonna talk about next who blew up right around this time last year, and we were saying the same thing about him. And we're saying the same thing again, by the way. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I would have no problems going after Puig. Obviously, since he's outfield, you could throw another outfielder back, and should be fine trying to go straight up for position to position. So,
Yeah,
who else we
absolutely.
got?
So next
build
on
it
the
up, so
list,
let's talk about
yep, next one, and I'm pretty sure it was a dead giveaway, Mr. Matt Carpenter. Last year, it's like it's almost the same thing. I mean, he's batting 206. He's only got 4 bombs. 8 RBI, by the way. 8. Like, what? But I mean, there's just almost nothing wrong here. It's hard. It's a little harder to look at him and say it's gonna happen. It's gonna click. His K rate's exactly the same. His walk rate's almost exactly the same. It's just for whatever reason, like his BABIP is only down to 255, which is well below his average. So I expect that to go up. It is kind of hard to say like it's just gonna click, but like, dude, we saw it happen last year, right? I mean, the one thing that's sort of concerning is that like his hard hit rate is 10 percentage points less than it was last year. I don't think I'm expecting him to bounce back to be what he was last year. I mean, he was absolutely the best fantasy baseball player from middle of May until the middle of August. He was hands down the best fantasy baseball player out there. He just tore it up. So I don't think I'm expecting that, but I'm expecting way better than what he's got now. And that, I mean, the Cardinals lineup isn't a joke. Like they're solid, dude. I mean, DeJong's playing well. They've got I'm blanking. Ozuna.
Jose Martinez.
Yeah, Jose Martinez
better.
is playing way better now that he's finally getting some playing time. The Cardinals finally realized like we're just gonna forgo a little bit of defense and get his bat in the lineup, and it's working. So I think we're due for some bounce back with him. He might be a little harder to buy low on only because people know what happened last year. So maybe they're thinking, oh, this is going to happen again, which is kind of what I'm doing. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I did not draft Carpenter last year, but I sure as hell picked him up on the waiver wire as a fill-in right before he took off, and I never let him go after that. I mean, I couldn't. He was so good. I mean, I just looking at what we're seeing here in his 2018 splits. I mean, at bats were fairly the same between May and April. He was maybe 15 more at bats, 2 more runs, more than twice as many hits, tripled his doubles, hit 5 homers as opposed to 1. So yeah, I mean, he just took off.
Yeah, he was incredible last year. After he finally picked it up, it's like something just clicked, and he just it's a totally different baseball player. But
yeah, I mean, another guy that I'll throw in here real quick. We don't have him on our list, but he's teammates here that we just actually did not mention his name is Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, he has been absolute crap recently. And he started off hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really. He's not necessarily buy low because he's got name value behind him. He's going to get it righted, but
I mean, he's still got 9 bombs, 24 runs. I mean, yeah, a lot of that was early. I still think it's, he's going to be a harder buy low. But I mean, yeah, if you've got an owner who is, just quick to pull the trigger, it's funny you mentioned his name. An owner in my dynasty league, he loves to trade and he reacts and he overreacts, in my opinion. And I keep telling him to stop. He is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into everything, but he has literally traded every best player in his team. Like every top 2 to 3 tier player on his team is now not on his team because he keeps trading them for like depth. And that is the absolute wrong move to do. But anyway.
Yeah, but dude, Goldie's got, in the last 15, he has 1 extra base hit.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's in a slump. But that happens with baseball, right? But
yeah.
He ended up trading Goldschmidt for, apparently he tried to go after Pete Alonso and Robbie Ray. He ended up getting Robbie Ray and Christian Walker. And I was like, are you serious? No. He was like, oh no, I just need arms. I need pitchers. And I was like, you have 30 pitchers on your team. Like, I don't know what this guy's doing. Anyway. Story about my team that nobody gives, my league that nobody gives a crap about. Anyway. So yeah, Matt Carpenter, go try to snag him, see if he can reclaim some of the magic that he had last year. Speaking of going after a guy who had some magic last year, Jack Flaherty. He was a huge, people were kind of projecting him to take the next step this year, and it's been a step in the wrong direction, to say the least. His ERA and his ERA is a full point, basically, north of where it was last year at 4.32. I don't really see what's happening here, except that he's just allowing more home runs. I mean, the strikeout rate's pretty much the same. He's actually walking less batters. BABIP is a tick higher, so that could probably come down. It's just, I think he's gonna figure this out, man. Like, there's just not a lot here for me to be like, oh no, like this is a huge red flag. It's just swinging strike rate is right on par with last year. So he's just still striking out guys. They're just, the hits that he's allowing, they're a little more harmful right now than they were last year. I think that'll level out, though, for him. I think he's going to end up turning it around and having a pretty good stretch here very, very soon. And then he will not be a buy low candidate probably after the next couple starts. I think the window will be closed here. I think he's going to pick it up soon.
Yeah, I mean, he, compared to last year, he's sitting at a whole point, run ahead of what he had ERA wise.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, but look, like the FIP is higher as well.
Yeah.
And the XFIP though is 3.54, and that's where XFIP counts. Takes into account home runs more. So, it's like, if you allowed, like, I don't know the exact math that they do it, but I think it's something like, just basically like, if you allow kind of the normal home runs, or like, or something along those lines. I forget exactly what it is. It's like, maybe like if all the ballparks were kind of the same, would it have like been a home run here and not there type of thing. So they kind of like average it out or something like that. That's why, and exactly what I said, like he's allowed more home runs this year so far. I mean, We're seeing that across baseball, so maybe it's not going to drop. But, I mean, I just think he's too good. He's just, he's hit a little bit of a sophomore slump. I think he'll figure it out. All the other numbers are there, though. The walk rate, the strikeout rate, the swinging strikes. Everything's there for it to turn back around for me.
Yeah, I like Flaherty. I think that he's due for a turnaround here pretty quick.
I keep watching his start, not watching, but like following his starts, and like I feel like the last couple that I've watched, he's gotten 3 or 4 really good innings, and then it's like the 5th inning, it's like boom, something bad happens. You're like, damn, it's just like he just gets a couple guys on, and then one goes out, and that's what's killing him. It's just, and for whatever reason, that's just kind of been his MO this year. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm okay with where he's at. I don't own him anywhere this year, so I wouldn't mind going after him though.
Yeah,
See if
absolutely.
someone's soured on him and ready to get rid of him. I mean, you might be able to flip, someone who's got a hot start, and you can always try to push well, he is only a sophomore. Maybe he's going to have some sort of innings cap later. I doubt it, but you never know. I mean, St. Louis does some goofy things towards the later half of the season, and
Seems doubtful. I mean, he was 152 innings. I'm not on his page anymore. I think he was like 150 something last year. So, what's the math? He would go up to like probably 170-ish this year. So he's probably fine for innings. Like that's
151.
normal.
So
Yeah, so he's normal.
I don't see them doing it, but he may miss like a start or two here and there.
That's not going to kill you.
That's not going to be much. So, yeah.
So the last guy here I've gotten by low is Mr. Walker Buehler. This one is interesting. And this one is just more me just believing in his skill and, the fact that he was so good last year. I did not think he was going to be that good again this year. But I also did not expect him to have almost a 5 ERA by this point in the season. And there are some red flags. I'm not going to lie. There are major red flags here. His ground ball percentage has gone down to 39%. So he's allowing way more fly balls this year. And his strikeout rate is down to 7.9, down from 9.9 last year. His left on base percentage, though, is the kind of the thing that makes me go, this is where I see him being able to improve. Is the left on base percentage? It's down to 56%. That's just not gonna stay at 56%. There's no way. That is super unlucky. I have no idea how that even happens. That's like bad reliever territory, I feel like. And last year was a 78%. I feel like that's way more of the normal. Or sometimes early in the season, you see guys with like a 90% left on base percentage, and you're like, yeah, that's not continuing either. So by 56% is super crazy low. So when that regresses more toward the normal for him, I think we're going to see the ERA drop significantly, and you can see it, right? Like his FIP is 1.5 points below where his ERA is at 3.6, and that's kind of where I would have expected him to be this year, somewhere in like the 3.3 to 3.56 range, right? In ERA, I mean, 2.6 is just max Scherzer good, like it's hard to repeat. But and again, like with the strikeout rate, it's only a 7, but like his swinging strike percent is exactly the same as last year. I just don't know why he's just not getting as many strikeouts in general, especially considering that he's walking less guys too. He's just getting hit harder or something, or more often, I guess. It's just, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, Buehler was not someone I was super interested this year. I definitely think he's going to have a cap on his innings later.
Maybe. I mean, he was at 137 during the season last year, but
He was at 150, so
then he
maybe
also
not.
pitched in the postseason, so he went really deep last year.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I don't.
it wouldn't surprise me, but
Yeah, if you count
yeah, dude,
postseason, he had another 23 innings in the postseason. So he had quite a few innings last year.
yeah, he had a lot done. But yeah, dude, like the ground ball percentage is crazy to me. Crazy low. I mean, that needs to come way up in order for him to continue being successful. I don't see the ERA repeating what it was last year. Like you said, there's no way. I mean, it was already blown out of the water with that and nearly doubled it. But um, mid threes, I think, is attainable for him if he can just get under control a little bit more and get some more of these ground balls coming his way.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. So let's move on to Sell High. I'm going to throw a little bonus guy in here. I didn't have him listed, and then his name was always there. I'm going to be bold here, man, and say Cody Bellinger. Sell high on this guy, man. I mean, his start is through the roof. I mean, it is super unsustainable. And I mean, you basically should be able to name a price for this guy right now. I mean, you're basically going to be able to get anybody not named Trout, not named Yelich, and probably like one or two other guys. But like, that should really be it. I mean, he's been that good. I mean, he's batting almost 400. His BABIP's at 388. 14 home runs. 14 home runs. That's absurd. Man, and that BABIP starts dropping. His isolated power is almost at 400. I mean, he's just murdering the ball every time he hits it right now. And just, there's no way. His home run to fly ball ratio is 35%. I mean, even in his good rookie year, is only at 25. And that's really good. There's no way he stays on this pace. So I'm saying it right now. I think he's still going to be very, very good the rest of the year, but I think you are going to be able to get a ridiculous return for him that will end up being better than Bellinger from this day forward. Am I stupid?
No, not at all, dude. I think he's a perfect example of a sell high candidate. I mean, we saw it a couple years ago with his teammate Jock Peterson. He came up and lit the world on fire, and then completely fell off a cliff and was absolutely worthless. Now, Bellinger is
Better.
in my mind, way better than
Way
Jock
better.
Peterson. But the pattern was there, but Bellinger was solid all the way through last year, and he's on a Yelich-esque tear right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, could you end up trading away this year's NL MVP? Possibly, but if you can get a Yelich back for him, or I don't know.
Well, nobody's trading Yelich. That'd be absolutely crazy.
True.
I don't think Yelich stays on this pace either, but I'm not trading Yelich. I don't care what somebody throws at me. It's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, if you need an ace pitcher and you've got outfield depth to make it work, I think you go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next guy here we've got is Tim Anderson, the guy that I totally dogged before the start of the season, saying I'll never own this guy again. And then what do? I dropped him in TGFBI because that league is just weird. And it forces you to do things like that. So I love it, though. But dude, I've been loving the start by him. I'm not gonna lie. And of course, we can't trade in that league, so there's nothing I can do about it. But I know what's gonna happen with Tim Anderson. The guy's batting 328 right now. His average, major league average, is 263. Yeah, so he's not batting 328 ever. That's just not gonna happen. The good news is that he's striking out less. That was always one thing. Like, his plate discipline has always been ridiculed. It is bad. I just worry that, like, the strikeout rate's gonna come up, the batting average is gonna dip. Is he still a 2020 candidate? And so, like, counting stat wise, he's very helpful. He's gonna help you in steals big time. He's got some pop. He's a useful player. Like, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't sell him for, just a guy. Make sure you get good return for him. But I think we're gonna see we're probably gonna see a pretty big dip in play here from Tim Anderson. From this point going forward. And we're gonna see it more in, like, the batting average than anything else.
Yeah, that excuse me, that average is definitely coming down. I don't see that maintaining anywhere close to where it is right now.
No.
Even if it comes in, his highest batting average was in the majors, at least. It was back in 16 with a 283. Maybe he levels off a little bit closer to that. I still think it's going to be closer to a 17, 18, 257, 240. I think he could hover in the 260s easily and still be productive for you.
Yeah, the problem is, though, if he drops down to 260, you know what that means, right? He batted well below 260 from this point going forward, so that's not good.
Absolutely,
and
that's
gonna kill you. It's going to crush you. That's why it's like time to drop him now, not drop, but time to bail on him now, and get somebody who's going to be a little more consistent. As long as you can, get. Like, if you can't give up the counting stats from him, 2020 type players, very valuable. So if you can't give up the steals, you're not, you can't take that hit in steals, or you're not going to get somebody back in return that can give you steals, don't do it. But it's a guy that is on my radar as a sell high.
Yeah, I agree.
So next on the list, and the last hitter that we will talk about, is a guy that we touted early in the season, or before the season, very early season. We were excited about him, but it's Domingo Santana. Look, I just did not. I really don't. I did not expect him to start out as well as he did. And it's already started to taper off a little bit, although he's having, as you mentioned before the show when I put his name down, he's having a good week. But before that, it's been kind of, I've got him in our league, in our Fantasy Six-Pack League, and it's an OBP league. His OBP was below 300 for the last couple of weeks, I believe. I don't know the exact number. I just remember looking at it and trying to set my lineup, and I actually pretty sure I benched him one day. It was just like, I'd rather take a chance on somebody else who isn't going to kill me in OBP, and I forget what happened. Anyway, not important. But things are gonna slow down for Santana. I feel like he's a fine player. He's gonna hit some pop. He's gonna hit probably 25 home runs in the whole year, maybe 30. He can get double digit steals. He's not gonna be like a 20, 25 steal guy, but 12 to 15 is probably probably very fair. That Seattle offense is actually surprisingly good. So the RBIs will be there. I don't know, man. Something tells me like we're gonna just see kind of a meh player at this point. Not meh as in bad meh, but like we're just gonna see a normal good player, right? Which is fine. But I wonder if his perceived value is higher than that still because of that super hot start. And that's why I put him down as a sell high. So if you're not getting that perceived value back in return in a trade, I just hold him. But I would dangle him out there and be like, oh, hey, look at this shiny toy over here. See if people bite, you know? And if you can get something in return that is way worth it, then you take the deal. But if you're just getting, equal value or, uh, or just kind of whatever player is back in return, then I wouldn't worry about it. I'm fine holding a player like this too, but I think it's one where you have to. I think you have to put it out there and see what your league is thinking with him, because I think the perceived value for him is so much higher still.
Yeah, I owned him in 2 of my 3 leagues, and I mean I've been happy with him overall. Aside from the last couple of weeks, he's just been bad. I feel like Seattle's offense has kind of been bad too, though.
It's slowed down big time. I mean, it's slowed down. I mean, you got to remember in my Dynasty League, this is the guy I traded to get Eloy Jimenez in my Dynasty League. That's how crazy his value was early on. I was like, yes. I didn't care how good he was. I was like, I'm taking Eloy in the Dynasty League in a heartbeat. Probably the worst part about that trade is I ended up giving up Caleb Smith, because who knew Caleb Smith was going to be this damn good? But that sucks. But I've got the pitching to make up for it, I think. But anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, that's just proof right there that, Caleb Smith was at that point kind of a throw-in, so that doesn't really count. Like, nobody thought this was going to happen. But it was really about the Domingo Santana and the Eloy part. And this guy was willing to trade me Eloy Jimenez in a dynasty for Domingo because he was so excited about Domingo's hot start. The fact that he hit 30 home runs 2 years ago. And he's still relatively young. So the guy was like, oh, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, yeah. So, if he's still got that kind of perceived value in your league, that's where you've got to take advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people are going to look at the overall number. Like there's so many people that are out there that do that. They don't click on the last 7 or last 15 to see what the hell's going on recently. They see a big number. They're like, oh man, this guy's awesome. All right.
Yeah, they don't go to Fangraphs to look at these supporting stats and trends and things like that. Honestly, that's why there are people like you and me doing the podcast and our site and hundreds of other sites out there. Like, if it's not us telling you this, I guarantee there's another site out there telling you to trade Domingo Santana right now. Like, it'd be crazy not to. It's just... So, yeah, if you're smart enough to be able to listen or read sites like ours, then you should be the one taking advantage of your league and winning it most of the time. So be it. They're lost, not yours. So on to the pitching here. We got the first pitcher I've got here is Mike Miners. This guy is pitching unbelievable right now. I wanted to click on his last 3 starts and see if I can pull him up here. I know I can. Oh, game log. Yeah. Gosh. So his first few starts were, his first start was bad actually, and I was like, uh-oh. But his last 2 starts. Let's do 3 of his last 4 starts. First off, complete game shutout. Then he allowed 4 and 6. But then 1 run in 7 innings, 0 runs in 8 innings. 13 strikeouts and 9 strikeouts. If this doesn't scream sell high, I don't know what does. Now, look, the rest of your league might be smart enough to realize that it's still Mike Minor. And yes, he's a quality pitcher, but he's not this good of a pitcher. But there are plenty of leagues out there, I've been in some of them, that people overreact, and they will buy that. The other funny part about that trade, where I ended up giving up Caleb Smith, was I also gave up Freddie Peralta. And I don't know if you remember Freddie Peralta's second start of the year, where he had like 12 strikeouts in like 6 innings or something ridiculous like that, or he just pitched phenomenal, and then he died. So, again, people overreact all the time. So if somebody's going to overreact to Mike Minor being that good, you take advantage of it. If they don't, then you probably hold. Because Mike Minor's going to have up and down games. You know, the thing you worry about is he plays in Texas, right? And it's going to get really warm there. Ball starts flying out. But, you know, he's good. He was really good at the end of last year. I think we highlighted him in was it the pitching?
Yeah.
It must have been the
We
pitching
looked at him
preview.
in the pitching preview
Yeah,
because of his finish last year.
Yeah, we said he was a
absurd.
target. Yeah, we said he was a guy that you could target late because nobody was on him, it felt like. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't draft him anywhere. I have him in my Dynasty League, but we have 40-man rosters. Like, it'd be crazy not to own him in that. But in, like, normal leagues, I didn't go after him. I drafted better pitchers than him. But then he ended up being better than most of the guys I own. But, you know, it's just, I mean, he doesn't strike out a ton of guys. His strikeout rate is up to 8. You know, he used to have, I don't know if you remember Mike Minor from his Atlanta days. Like, he had promise.
Yeah.
You know,
so
like maybe it's just all
Absolutely.
kind of. Then he got that, like, I forget, it was like some weird, was like a back injury or something, and he just was never the same again. And then he went to Kansas City and pitched out of the bullpen, and then finally last year he pitched for Texas, and it just something clicked for him in the second half last year. Again, I don't think it's gonna be this good the rest of the way, and that's why you dangle them out there and see what people are going to do. But just, you know, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. Just be smart about it. You know, don't sell just because you think he's going to regress and he's going to be worse from this point forward. Worse doesn't mean he's bad. Worse means he's just not 2.4 ERA good. He could be a 3.4 ERA the rest of the way, and that's perfectly acceptable. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Kind of shelled tonight. At Houston, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, only 5 Ks.
Yeah,
so
that's all right though. I mean, like,
he's out of the game at this point, so he's in line for the loss.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have a bump in the road. Houston's a good team, so I mean, like, you can't fault them for
exactly.
that. So I don't know. I mean, you got anything else to add with Mike Minor? I feel like we need to move on here. We've been on the topic for a while.
I'm good.
Last guy here, Matthew Boyd. I mean, again, another guy that's like under 3 ERA, really just a nobody. Like, before the season started, I mean, like, I knew who he was, but he wasn't really on my radar. I don't think he was really on a whole lot of people's radars. Strikeout rate is above 11 right now, though, and that's crazy high. 3 higher than last year. His swinging strike percentage is 4 points higher than it was last year, so he's just wrecking it right now. And I'm trying to see his pitch type here. So he's throwing way more fastballs. He's actually throwing more sliders, and he's throwing less curveballs. So and less changeups. So it's possible that there's something to this, that he's changed his pitch selection, and that's making a huge difference. I don't know.
He's throwing half as many curveballs.
Yeah, I mean, look and half as many changeups. So, like, I mean, again, there
Yeah.
could be something to it. There really could be. You know, I looked at Martin Perez the other day because I was like, why the hell? Who? What? Like, my God, Martin Perez. Like, what is happening? The dude added a pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all in. I'm all in on Martin Perez. Like, when you change your pitch selection, he added a cutter. And he's throwing it 35% of the time. And he's throwing his fastball over 20% less. So, I mean, yeah, scouting reports will catch up to him, and he's not going to, Martin Perez won't be as dominant as he is, but, like, you know, Perez is a different pitcher. And so it's possible, not to the same degree, that for Matt Boyd, he will be better this year than in previous years just because he's changed his pitch selection. He hasn't added a new pitch. So that's not quite as drastic of a move. But I mean, it's just still one of those things where, like, you know, if somebody's buying into, you know, a low 3 ERA for the whole year and an above, you know, a double-digit strikeout rate, you know, I'm giving up on them, because if they're going to pay for that, that's when you just give up. You're just like, okay, cool, you know. And look, none of these are sure bets. Absolutely not. We could be dead wrong. This could be a horrible move for you. But I look at the data. I've been doing this for years. I hope I know what I'm talking about. This, you know, this seems to work out more than it not working out, is what I'm going to say. But
yeah, I mean, just changing around like that, it's gonna eventually catch up. I think people are gonna say, okay, well, this is what he's doing.
I mean, he's essentially
I'm gonna
become
sit on it more.
I mean, he's essentially become a two-pitch pitcher. Fastball slider, fastball
Well,
slider.
yeah.
Which has worked
I mean,
for some people, but usually it works for relievers. It doesn't usually work for starters. You need a third pitch, and if he's only throwing his third pitch 6% of the time, it's not really a third pitch anymore. It's just kind of a, I'm going to throw it every now and then because I have to. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's gonna have that out pitch or whatever, and it looks at this point it's really, well, he's kind of the same with the curve and the change. He's about twice as much curveball as changeup. I mean, he's barely throwing his changeup at all
yeah,
anymore.
no, it's like
Not that
basically
it was ever really high, but still, I mean, under 4% of your throws are your changeup. Okay, is it? You know, you also want to look at the reasoning behind this. Was it just not working for him, and he was just getting smacked on it, or what? And that's why he decided to change it up, or is it just because he wants to be more of a fastball slider guy? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, his slider is clearly his best pitch, and it was last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why he's throwing it more. His fastball is having more success this year too. I don't know. Just something tells me this is gonna catch up to him. He's not this good. So anyway, we need to move on. Sorry, a little bit of a burp there. Anyway, let me clear that out. So Keith Lott mentioned to me today that we should talk about catchers, and at first I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he pointed out some things to me, and I was like, all right, actually, you make a pretty good point. So we're going to talk catchers. Hopefully we won't lose everybody that was listening just a second ago. But his point is just how much of a wasteland catcher has been. And look, I mean, we all know it coming into the season, but it seems like it's even worse. And the injuries are not helping, right? Like, Studio is out, right? Or is that his name? That's his name, right? Yeah, so he's
Well,
out. Posey just went on the IL with a concussion. We had lost Sanchez for a bit. He's back, but like even the top guys, they're not performing the way that you would expect them to. And they're not bad, but like Real Muto, he's not putting up counting stats like you would hope. Honestly, like the biggest value this year has been Wilson Contreras. He is killing it. If you if you were the one to buy into the Wilson Contreras bounce back, like congrats, because you got him on the cheap in the draft. Like you got him in the 130 range for ADP, if not lower, and he has outperformed that by a mile. One of the guys that he mentioned big time was Danny Jansen, and this made me laugh because like I'll be honest, I don't look at catchers that much. I drafted my catcher like the last position I possibly could, and they're on my team. I don't really know if they're doing good, don't really know if they're doing bad. I know I'm doing okay, so I figure my catcher's doing a good enough job. But Danny Jansen, man, he's been awful this year. And he pointed out the NFBC ADP. He went number 178 average ADP. Or this is just hitters. Sorry, he pulled up just hitters. So the 178th hitter, I think, is what he said. Or no, this isn't just hitters. My bad.
no, it was everybody.
Yeah. So guys that were going after him on this, he just screenshotted like the 20 or 15 or so around, like some above, some below. Some of the names below him, if you had drafted Danny Jansen before Luke Voigt, Eduardo Escobar, Paul DeJong, or Hyunjin Ryu, you are kicking yourself right now. That is awful. Now, NFBC is a different beast because some of them are fairly deep leagues. They're all deep leagues, but they're at least 12, some are 14, some are 15 man leagues, and they're all to catcher. So I get it, catcher is a little bit of a premium, but still, you're looking at going, oh my god, I could have had Luke Voigt instead of Danny Jansen. And he just, oh man, you want to go drink. It's bad, but I I don't really know a whole lot. I don't really know where we're gonna go with this conversation, but I wanted to have this conversation a little bit. Like, what do we do with catcher, man? Like, we can't get rid of it completely. I know you've mentioned that before. I'm not getting rid of catcher. Just like I'm not getting rid of tight end in football. Like look, we all know tight end's bad. There's like 4 players that you want at tight end, but I'm not getting rid of tight end. So we're not getting rid of catcher, but like, what is the real strategy here? Is it pay up for a guy like, Real Muto, who, I mean, he's still performing. He's still better than most of these other guys. Or do you completely punt it and go for just a guy who's not going to kill you in average, or, go for a guy who is going to kill you in average, but maybe get you 12 to 15 home runs on the year? Like, what do we do at this point?
I mean, I would get rid of it. We did it in my weekly league, and instead added an infield slot. And it's been okay. I mean, I actually did go and I think I drafted Buster Posey.
Oh gosh,
super late.
Ugh. I would have never drafted a catcher in that league if you didn't have a catcher position. There's just no reason to. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, I more did it for the eligibility at first base. I had Goldie, but I figured, well, I want somebody else at first to back him up in a pinch if I absolutely need it. So I got late and knew he was going to be immediately dropped, as one of my first drops. and he's not on my team anymore because he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
But
he's been bad.
yeah, I mean, I do agree. It's tough to just bail on the position altogether. But for me personally, it's never really been that big of an issue. I mean, I've done it in the Fantasy Six Pack League. I've done it in my other leagues. I just don't even play a catcher. I keep my bench spot for somebody who's going to actually perform.
And I was going to ask you that too, he mentioned that because he opened up a Reddit thread about catchers. And he was like, it is unbelievable how many people just don't play a catcher. And I was like, I've seen that a lot. And I knew you were one of the people that's done it before. You've done it in the Fantasy Six-Pack League.
I've been doing it for 5 years probably. Because I just don't care. And it's like, in a categories league, it doesn't. I don't feel like it burns you as much as a points league because, what are you really getting out of them?
Well, even in a points league, like you're not getting a lot, but you might as well just throw one out there because even if you get like 1 to 2 points, like it doesn't matter. Like 1 to 2 points matters. Yeah. But in a categories league, like you're getting you get a lot of like over 4 days from your catcher, and you're like, dude, that just murders me.
It kills your ratio. I want nothing to do with it.
If you get an 0 for 4 day from your catcher in a points league, unless they go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts a bunch of times, that will hurt you. But a lot, and that's where I go, I at least want a safe catcher. I'm not taking, I will never take the Zaninos of the world. Just because I'm never going to do it. I know so many people think Zunino can go and belt 25, 30 home runs if he was just given the opportunity. There's a reason why he's not given the opportunity. It's because he strikes out too much. It's just, no, like I'm not taking those guys. But I don't want to keep going on this, really. I don't. I mean, I say he's going to hit, like, Zunino's done it. Like, he's hit 25 home runs, but, like, it's just, his strikeout percentage is so bad. It's 37% last year, right? But, I mean, in a points league, like, it's not, no, I can't do it. It's just not, it's not worth it for me. 201 average, no, not good. What I want to end on is I was actually talking to a guy on my, one of the dads for my daughter's softball team yesterday. We randomly got into the conversation about fantasy baseball. And he goes, oh yeah, I play. And he said, I'm in an NL only. And I was like, all right, man, that's legit. And he goes, yeah, we do, it's a 10 team. We start 2 catchers. And I was like, wait, excuse me? You start 2 catchers in a 10-team NL only. There's only 15 teams in the National League. That means you're starting backups. He goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, no. I'm like, there's absolutely no way. He's like, oh, man, it's all part of the fun. Like, it's super strategic. I'm like, no. Dude, I just wouldn't be starting a second catcher. I just wouldn't be starting a catcher at all in that league. How many good catchers are in the National League? 2? I mean, it used to be Posey, but not anymore. Obviously, Contreras.
Well, I mean, you got Yachty, Real Muto. Once he picks it up, I mean, there's
okay, fine. 3. So we got Contreras, Molina, and Real Muto.
Yeah, in contrast.
Is that it?
Yeah, Contreras.
That's gotta be it. I can't think of anybody else actually good. I mean, like, you get guys that go on hot streaks. Yeah, actually, Grandal's having a nice season. He's had a little bit of a bounce back, but I don't know, man. No. 2 catchers in an NL only league. Oh my God! Like if you had 8 teams, maybe. If you had 10 teams with 20 catchers, you're having to start every week. I was like, man, that's balls. There's no way. That's just not even fun. That's like trying to have. That's trying to start.
You almost have to do an NL only, like have the player universe for the entire league, but then everybody but catcher would only be NL. Like that's how you would have to set that league up.
And he even admitted
open the catcher position up
He
if
even
it's two
admitted, he
catcher.
said, "Oh, we just take our catchers last. It's an auction league." He's like, "Oh yeah, we pay like the minimum for our catchers." I was like, "Then what's the point?" I laughed, dude. I was like,
Yeah,
"There's no,
there
that's
really
absolutely
isn't. I mean,
absurd. There's no way."
that's just
All
silly.
right,
I
man.
mean,
We've
but that's why we got rid of it in the other league, because it was just such a wasteland, dude. And it was a week-long points league that I've been in for a few years now, and it just everybody was sick of getting burned by the catcher, putting up 5 to 8 points in a week, if that. Like, there was weeks where you would get no points out of your catcher because it's a strikeout league too. So it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's finish this up. Let's go through our injuries, go through your quick bullpen update, not a whole lot, and then we'll cover some waivers. Injuries, not actually. There's been, knock on wood, pretty clean the last couple of weeks, or the last week at least. We got Chris Davis, the good Chris Davis. He's got a hip contusion, not on the IL. I think he ran into a wall like Monday when they were playing an NL team, and he hasn't been right. He tried to play last night, and then got pulled in the fifth inning. So my guess, just a gut feeling here. I think he's going to go on the IL at some point and just let him rest this out. But anyway, just something to keep an eye on. I obviously already mentioned Posey. He's out with a concussion, so who knows how long that'll last. Pitchers, we got David Price, elbow tendonitis. The hope is that he only misses 1 to 2 starts. We got David Matz. Steven Matz, thank you. He is out with I just moved my screen. What do I do? Nerve discomfort in his arm. He's hoping he returns next week. That one worries me a little bit more, man. We got nerve discomfort. Like, there's either, I mean, sometimes it goes away. You know, like, I get like a pinch nerve in my neck every now and then, and it lingers, man, for like a couple weeks sometimes, and it just sucks. It's just uncomfortable. You can't really move. And sometimes it like affects other part, like down my back and stuff. So like hopefully it goes away quickly. Sometimes it goes. I mean, sometimes it's like a day or two, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm good again. But it's that one's kind of hard to trust here. Jameson Taillon is the other pitcher here. You know, he's been kind of struggling this year, to be honest. Everybody was really hoping for big things from him. There's serious concern with Taillon in this injury. He went out with a right elbow flexor strain, and the MRI last week, there hasn't been an update since last week on this, right when the injury first happened, is that there's no damage, and the UCL that he had surgically repaired is fully intact, right? But they're getting second opinions on the elbow to make sure things are are okay. They're saying he's not going to throw for at least 4 weeks, and that was last Sunday. No, Saturday. This was news from Saturday. So, I mean, he's probably out till at least late June. You know, you give he's not going to throw for 4 weeks, right? So that's, you know, first week of June-ish, and then he's got to ramp up. He's got to get his arm strength. He'll throw from 60 feet, 90 feet, you know, whatever. Then he'll get on a mound. Then he'll go on a rehab assignment. You're looking late June, and then if he has a setback at all, man, I don't know if you can. I mean, if you don't have an IL spot in your league, I think I might cut bait with him, dude. I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, he wasn't pitching well in the beginning, and you're talking about this kind of injury that might just kind of linger and just be an issue for a bit, you know. So I mean, if you're wasting a spot on him, I don't know if I'd do it. What do you think?
Depends on how many DL spots I have.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't have an IL spot, right, then do you hold
yeah,
him for 2 months, potentially 2 months? Do you
I'm
hold
not
him?
holding them that long.
Yeah, I don't think
No.
I am either, dude. I mean, you're talking 2 months, end of June, so he comes back very end of June, maybe early July. You got the All-Star break, and then a lot of playoffs in baseball start in. Dude, ours is early. I get it because we do the 2-week playoffs, and we also end the season early because I hate the last couple of weeks where it's just like people sitting. But a lot of playoffs will start like a month later at best. And so you're getting a month out of him before you get to the playoffs. And like, unless you just have like a super stacked team and you have a really strong lead, I don't think you can hold on to him. I really don't. Like, you're gonna need that pitching spot at some point. So I can't do
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
All right, man. Give us your bullpen update. What we got?
Yeah, speaking of pitching and injuries,
Yeah, I didn't mention all of them. I'll let you have a few here.
yeah, definitely have some movement in some bullpens here. Really just over the last 24 hours, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I've been texting you a lot.
Yeah. So Pedro Strop has been placed on the IL for Chicago, and they were already in a committee with him and Chiswick as their main closers.
Mm-hmm.
But with him moving to the IL now and joining Brandon Morrow, who I believe had a setback the other day as well, now they're looking at Chiswick and Brandon Kinsler as their committee, and they're pulling in, our old buddy, Mr. Brad Brock, as really probably the lead setup guy or seventh inning guy, most likely, depending on which one of these two between Kinsler and Chiswick gets the save chances. So that's something to monitor. I mean, I've never really been big on this bullpen this year in general. I do have Morrow stashed in the Fantasy Six-Pack League because my team is whatever.
Hey, man, you're still in like 4th place. I have no idea how you're doing it.
I don't know if that's going to maintain after another couple of weeks here, but if it does, cool. I'm good with it. I still will make the playoffs until I don't. So
good confidence.
That's my stance, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Moving on.
Oakland, you got Blake Trenian is back. He pitched 2 scoreless innings the other night, so he's back on track after a short break from injury over the weekend. He was held out.
I just want to say something. The dude comes back from, he was held out because something was bothering him, and I forget exactly what it was now. I don't remember if it was elbow or shoulder or whatever. The very first time you put him back in the game, you let him pitch 2 innings? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, that's just stupidity to me. Whatever. I hope it doesn't backfire on him, but he pitched well, Oakland, so there it is.
So you got to give Oakland their freedom to do analytical nonsense as much as they want. I don't know how that's even analytical there, but I agree. It was not the brightest of ideas.
It was shocking
other than
to me, to say the least.
The only thing I can think is, you're back from injury, you feel great, but we want to get you work because you haven't pitched in so long. And we need you to pitch well. So that's the only thing that I can see.
Yeah, I mean, they win in extras, so I guess that had a play in it. I don't know. That just seems like a weird move to me, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
keep going. Holy
summary
crap.
for Oakland. Trenian's back as the closer.
By the way, can I say something real quick? I'm just looking at baseball scores.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are beating the Pirates 17-4.
Yeah.
What?
And Goldie's had a pretty good game tonight.
Yeah, so they went that.
Yeah.
And so does Matt Carpenter. So maybe maybe they heard me.
Yeah. We've channeled
And Ozuna.
their
And they're all
inner spirits.
I don't think, dude, they've done all of this.
Yachty's had a really good game too.
They've done this without hitting a home run. That's incredible.
What?
They have done this without hitting a single home run. According to the box score, they have not hit a home run.
Oh.
Wow. That's incredible. Anyway, sorry, I had to say that. That was pretty crazy to see. Anyway, continue.
So yeah, that closer hierarchy again in Oakland, Trenian Trevino, who's also back again, and Soria. So Texas, news came out today that Sean Kelly, who was one of their two closer committee hammered wingmen, along with Chris Martin, is now on the IL himself. So now you're looking at, like I said, Chris Martin to be your main closer. I mean, he takes over the role now because Leclerc is still trying to figure his own nonsense out. And depending on how long Kelly's out, I think that he could just come back in and be back to, late relief, higher leverage, holds kind of guy. Whereas Leclerc's going to get this job back. I mean, they're paying him the money to be the closer.
Yeah, I think they're going to give it to him.
He just needs to figure it out.
I agree with you. I think they're going to figure out a way to get him back in that spot. But all right, man, let's finish up here with some waiver ads. How about, you want the pitching or you want the hitting? Who do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I can stick with pitching here.
All right, man.
Been doing it, so
let's knock it out.
Jake Odorizzi, currently he's only 48% owned. Not really understanding how. I mean, he's been unbelievable right now, but I don't know if that'll maintain.
It's not, but still, it's one of those, like,
you gotta ride the wave while it's there.
It's one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. It's crazy. Like, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
So silly that he's not owned higher.
And you had already mentioned his teammate Martin Perez. I'm not sure what his ownership is at this point. It's got to be much higher than it was a week ago, though.
47%.
Are you kidding me? Still only.
Now, this is all coming from Fantasy Pros, by the way, who I think does an aggregate of ESPN and Yahoo together. So that's why I use it, because I kind of like that aggregate percentage.
Yeah.
But it's still, like, it is super low. Like, guys, these two pitchers are destroying it right now. I don't care if you think it's not going to last. You've got worse pitchers on your team.
And they're on the best team in the league. So,
I mean,
you have to go after that.
I mean, I know there's like 8-team leagues out there, so people's pitching staffs are freaking stacked and things like that. But, like,
no, who cares?
Right? You've got to have worse pitchers. Like, I'm holding on to Frankie Montas in our league. Like, if Odorizzi or Perez were available in our league, I'd be talking about Montas in a heartbeat for both of them. And
Perez isn't, because he's on my squad.
Right, I know neither one of them.
I grabbed him and was like, yep. And I grabbed him in two of my leagues. And I almost had him in the third as the 2 starter for this week.
I actually, and
2 starts.
just to add a little comment here, I believe, and I basically mentioned this earlier, I believe in Perez way more than I believe in Odorizzi, but they both need to be owned right now because Perez added the cutter. He's a completely different pitcher this year. He's not going to continue what he has been doing, but he's a different pitcher, and that's all there is to it. Odorizzi is the same guy. Nothing has changed. It will go back to normal for him sooner rather than later. But regardless, he has to be owned. There's just no reason he shouldn't be. I mean, he's throwing his curve way more. Maybe that's doing it, but I don't know. I still think I'd rather have Perez, but they both need to be owned regardless. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
And then the last guy we have written down here is Pablo Lopez. His FIP is over a full point below his 4.09 ERA, and he's still striking out over 9 per game, or per 9 innings. Sorry. So, I mean, that you gotta like that. And his swinging strike rate is sitting at 11.5%.
Yeah,
So
well
I mean,
above
his
average. So
peripherals are very good right now.
yeah, he's been knocked around a couple games. I owned him. I owned him in
Yeah.
our league for a bit, but had to drop him. I didn't really want to. I like him, but I just had too many other options I needed to keep, and I have him in the Dynasty League, and he had a couple rough games early, and I think that's really what has inflated his ERA, but he's been pretty solid since. And I think I think he's going to get better, man. I really do. I think he's one of those guys. He's so low owned. I actually had him listed as one of a buy low guys, and then realized he was only 9% owned, and I was like, well, who are you buying him from? So just never mind. I'm going to put him in the waiver ad.
Yeah.
So that's why I put him in there. But anyway, man, let me close out here with the hitters. We're gonna start with Alex Verdugo, and I don't know why people aren't jumping on him right now. I mean, this guy is just, when he plays, he hits the ball, and he hits the ball well. He didn't play very much early on because he was more of like a backup player, but A.J. Pollock is hurt, and I think we mentioned him last week that Verdugo is the guy you want to go get now that Pollock is hurt, and he's hitting very well. I don't know if the pace he's hitting at now is going to keep up, but he's a solid hitter. He was a solid prospect. There's no reason to think it's not going to continue, at least being good. So I would absolutely go add him and not even look back. He needs to be owned in way more leagues than he is. Franmil Reyes, he's been up and down. He had a really rough stretch. He had like a couple good games early on, I feel like, and then kind of a meh. He's got some power. He has hit 10 home runs. A lot of that has been lately. Like in the last 2 weeks, he's hit 4 or 5, and the average is climbing back up. It's back up to 261. It was down like in the low twos at one point. So he's coming around, and he was dropped in a lot of leagues. I guarantee it, if not even picked up in a lot of leagues. And the worry with him, and look, how many times did we bring up the San Diego outfield situation, right? Before the season started, it's like, who's going to get the playing time? Who's going to get the playing time? I don't usually like puff my chest about it, but I said it on air, and you agreed with me. We both said Reyes is gonna get the playing time. They are not gonna sit this guy, and they absolutely haven't. They've been sitting Hunter Renfroe, and Hunter Renfroe is having a great season. When he's in, he is mashing the ball, but he's not getting consistent playing time. That may change, but they're not sitting Reyes, is basically what it's come down to. They are not sitting this guy. He's too good. So that's that. The last guy here, and I would have never thought, just like with Odorizzi and Perez, I would have never thought I would have had this guy on my list ever again. It is Hunter Pence. It's
funny, but it's not at the same time, because I mean, the guy can still ball.
He's having a crazy good season, and I would not have added him to this list except for the fact that they sent down Delino Shields, because Pence, even though he was playing well, was a part-time player at best. He was getting more playing time lately, but he was still in a platoon, and those guys are hard to own unless you're in like really deep leagues, right? And you can kind of swap around, and you have to kind of swap around outfielders. now that the Shield is down, we don't know how long he's going to be down, but Pence is raking right now. He hit another home run tonight, by the way. I believe
Yeah.
it's 3 games in a row, and makes it, I think, 4 in the last 3 games. Did he hit 2 the other night? I don't know why. Maybe I looked at somebody else's stats. No.
No,
So 3 in 3 nights. He hit another one tonight, though. So, yeah, I think this guy's just killing the ball. Like, this clearly is just a ride it while it's hot pickup. This is one of those. But, I mean, you can do that in baseball. It's a long season. Just go for it. Don't be afraid. You've got somebody that you can get rid of. You're going to probably get rid of the last guy on your bench anyway. Just swap him. Ride Hunter Pence while he's hot, and then dump him when he's done. Who cares? But, yeah, Hunter Pence right there. All right, man. It's late. Show ran a little long, so thank you for everybody for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next week.
sounds good.